What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Zach Costello Show. Before we get started, if you guys all don't mind, just remember to hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It's a very free and easy way to support what we're doing here. Finally, leave a comment if you're watching the replay and try to to read as many as possible of the comments. I get to the point, especially early on, where I can read them. I get to the point where, you know, if the replay has been going for a while, it's not as easy to read all of them, but I try to get to as many as possible. And then if you're here to the live stream, guys, make sure you get any super chats. I get to those all at the end of the show. All right. I could only fit so much into the title of the video today. It was quite the eventful weekend. As many of you guys know, Candace Owens, she did an emergency episode on Friday, and then Baron Coleman did a follow-up to that. I think he called it like the after party to Candace's show, Candace's emergency episode. And they released a never-before-seen photo of Charlie Kirk and his chest area being exposed, I think as he was being carried to the car. We're going to take a look at what was shared. But what I'm covering here today is why Baron Coleman is under fire for sharing it. We're going to dig into a little of the context and the background of this photo, who he got it from, and what's been being said about all of it. So we're going to get into that, and you're going to see why this is so ridiculous as to why Baron Coleman is so under fire for this here in a minute. But this all aligns with another thing that I want to touch on today. And this is some pretty big stuff because it involves two of the prominent and leading voices of those, I guess you can say, against the alternative theories in the Charlie Kirk investigation. The top dogs pushing the Fed slop narrative, I guess you can say it that way. That's another way to put it. Any guesses as to whom I'm talking about, guys? Well, we have Gary Melton and Graham Allen, otherwise known as Erica Kirk or Turning Point USA's Good Boys. But you're not going to believe what we found here about these two. You're not going to believe what we found Gary Melton was saying early on about this Charlie Kirk investigation. And you're not going to believe the size of the rake that Graham Allen just stepped on here once again. First, I said we got a lot of stuff to cover today. It's going to be a good show. Frank Turek, he went on Newsmax and basically made just a dangerous threat to Candace Owens in true Christian Zionist form, of course, which you'll see and then we'll get to. But this is just straight up dangerous. There's a lot here, and it's truly insane. I'm Zach Costello.
If you come after a widow or the fatherless, God says, I will hunt you down with the sword and kill you. It also says in Deuteronomy 19 that if you falsely accuse someone of a crime and you're found out, you get the penalty of the crime. So if you falsely accuse someone of murder, you're the one that gets executed.
I got to bring this up because I know that it's just, to me, the enemy is working through this woman's mouth. Candace Owens, just on her show last night, brought you up again and tries to paint you again as somebody that had something to do with, knowledge of, or was even a part of the killing of Charlie Kirk. What do you think is driving her to share this kind of madness like that?
Well, as I just said, David, we had a murder, which is what Satan will do. And since the murder, right after the memorial service, what have we had out of Candace Owens? Slander, accusations, and lies seeking to steal, kill, and destroy. She wants to burn down Erica Kirk. She wants to burn down TPUSA. She's going after people that love Charlie. She calls herself a friend of Charlie. How is it love that you're going after, first of all, his widow, and secondly, all the people around him who were mentoring him and serving him, trying to make him better than he already was? How does that make any sense?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. If you could say one thing to Candace, what would you say?
I would say repent. We're praying for you, Candace. You should follow the truth. not slander, not accusations, not lies. You know, she has a war on reality, really. Part of the war on reality relies on slander, accusations, and lies, seeking to steal, kill, and destroy. And so I pray for Candace. I think she's a wonderful talent if she would direct her talents in the right direction toward the Lord and not away from the Lord. Because as you know, in the Old Testament in particular,
I'm just going to stop it there. Again, in the Old Testament in particular, his quoting of the verses, his quoting of the verses that he's referring to there with regard to the widow, and of course, again, it's just the constant attacks on the widow. The widow. God says that he's going to come after. He's going to come after you. He's going to kill those who threaten or attack the widow. And then Frank Turek, just this constant appeal to the Old Testament. You guys, and this is something that I say this as those who ascribe to this form of Christian Zionism, this make heaven crowded tour Christianity that Erica Kirk is leading the charge of. They are constantly just referring to the Old Testament. But even so, I mean, this is a direct threat. This is a direct threat on Candace Owens. That can't be put any other way. That can't be put any other way. That's a direct threat. It's the same type of threat that Charlie was receiving. God is going to remove his blessing from you. God's going to remove his protection from you if you dare to turn your support away from Israel. That's what his donors were saying to him. This is the same type of threat. We consider that a threat as well when it was happening to Charlie. I want you guys to look at this, though, because I wanted to get the context in here of what Frank Turek is actually talking about. He's referring to Exodus 2:22 when he's talking about the punishment of mistreating a widow or the fatherless. The Hebrew word for mistreat or afflict, which is what's being discussed here, this is the proper context of this Exodus verse, is anah. In the ancient context, this specifically means systematic exploitation, legal oppression, or economic abuse. It does not refer to personal disagreements, hurt feelings, or social conflicts. Okay, it specifically entails financial fraud, cheating them out of their inherited land or property. Well, we know for dang sure Erica Kirk is not being cheated out of any finances when it comes to her being a widow, when it comes to her husband passing away, or property. I think Erica lives in a pretty nice house, if I remember correctly. Legal corruption, denying them justice in court since they lacked a male advocate. That doesn't apply. Economic slavery, forcing them into predatory debt cycles or withholding food, none of which apply to Erica Kirk. The weaponization of scripture, that is what they constantly do. The weaponization of this, of course, the Old Testament scripture, of course it is, of mistreat or afflict. This is what it means to mistreat or afflict a widow according to the Old Testament, according to God's old law, according to God's law, the old one that Jesus did fulfill. But in any case, this is what it means to mistreat or afflict a widow, biblically, definitionally speaking. Okay, I'm so sick and tired of them using this term widow to protect Erica Kirk. And you guys know this. I've said it so many times on this show. To protect her from any form of criticism with regard to her behavior, her public relations, her leadership of Turning Point USA as the CEO, which is a highly influential political, cultural, and religious organization. And you know what? You know what's pretty funny? Tucker Carlson, he said that he's good friends with Erica Kirk, but he did unleash some criticism. I think this is mainly targeted at Blake Neff, but I want you guys to listen here of what Tucker Carlson just said in one of his latest podcast appearances. Check this out.
You know, there were people there who I know well at Turning Point who all of a sudden found themselves in positions that they didn't sign up for, they weren't hired for, and they weren't suited for. And they've been under enormous pressure, and they've done a really bad job. I don't know what to say. I feel sorry for them. because they didn't sign up for it. Actually, Charlie got murdered, so they're doing their best, and they're not suited for it at all. And they're under all this pressure, and I think they've made some bad decisions. And not supporting Massey, not demanding that Trump end this war. Those are major failures. Like, Charlie was aggressively anti-neocon. He said it a lot. He couldn't have been clearer about that. And so, I think for the sake of his memory and consistency, and also just decency and the country, they should have continued with that posture, but they didn't. And I know they're under tons of pressure, and all these creepy donors, who are like, care about Israel more than the United States. Okay, well, life is hard, and you want the job, you want the salary, you get in there and do what's right. I don't have as much sympathy, even though I have sympathy for them personally. Like, these are people I like a lot and have not criticized, don't plan to criticize, but it makes me sad. So that's how I feel. But, there are people.
So, I mean, that right there applies to Erica Kirk as well. I mean, the specific reference to who he worked with previously. I mean, Blake Neff. We know that Blake Neff worked with Tucker Carlson. He's talking to Blake Neff, Andrew Colvett, and Erica Kirk there specifically. I mean, I guess I can't say that, I can't put words in Tucker's mouth, but when it comes to the leadership of Turning Point USA or the Charlie Kirk Show and the messaging that they're putting out right now, he's talking to the leadership at Turning Point USA and the leadership of the Charlie Kirk Show, which would be Blake Neff and Andrew Colvett. I mean, he's doing it in a, you would say a politically correct way. He's not directly going at Erica Kirk. He's not naming names. I mean, but that's a pretty right on heavy statement there from Tucker Carlson with regard to what he thinks about the political agenda of Turning Point USA since Charlie Kirk died. Charlie was heavy anti-neocon. It's well documented. It's obvious. He was a supporter of Thomas Massey, who stood up to the Israel lobby, who stood up to the military-industrial complex neocon machine. And Turning Point USA and Erica Kirk and the Charlie Kirk Show just went right along with what the MAGA Republicans wanted and booted Thomas Massey out. They rah-rahed for the war in Iran. They released videos and got community noted for trying to say that Charlie was in favor of making Iran Western again. These are like, it's well documented that Charlie Kirk fought so hard in the last months of his life against these things. Tucker Carlson's criticism right here is right on. It hits the nail right on the head, and it is directed at the leadership of Turning Point USA and Erica Kirk specifically. You know who else was critical of Turning Point USA early on? And I got to give Mel, Village Crazy Lady on X, credit for sharing these screenshots. Our boy Gary Melton was pretty critical and skeptical of Turning Point USA early on. Look at these messages that have emerged from September of 2025 in the immediate aftermath of Charlie being killed. September 30th, to be specific. A post gets put out. Turning Point USA confirmed he allegedly did not wear a bulletproof vest, according to Candace Owens, who recently spoke with them. I'm puzzled why the narrative was pushed post-shooting that Charlie was transferred to a hospital and allegedly alive for hours when we now know he died within seconds. Gary Melton from Paramount Tactical responded and said, I'm amazed by the cognitive dissonance on this issue. There's so much that people don't take Turning Point USA's word for. Based on their statement, they believe Tyler Robinson is the shooter, but Candace says otherwise. But somehow, them, meaning Turning Point USA, covering up what he was wearing, that he was wearing body armor, is a stretch. I find that logic weird. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? And then this goes on. This goes on and he says this. That's tough for you guys to see. I'll read it to you. The response came back to that and said, now I'm not opposed to the idea in and of itself of a ricochet, but I'm opposed to the body armor theory. And to give you guys some quick context, this is Gary in defense of his body armor theory at the time. Because Gary believed that because of the wound type and because of the shirt behavior, Charlie Kirk must have been wearing body armor. That was a very early argument from Gary Melton. I was following along Gary Melton because I was listening to his coverage of the investigation. I thought it was good. You guys know that. I've said it many times. I said that right to his face to Gary when he was on, or when I was on his show talking about all of this. Gary then responded to this as they're going back and forth about the body armor argument. He said, I'm not attached to armor one way or the other. I'm attached to needing an explanation of the physics and ballistics. There isn't one right now. 30-06 doesn't just ricochet off a collarbone. It doesn't create enough air turbulence to displace his shirt in any way, much less the specific way that it did. Any rifle cartridge, but especially the mass and velocity of a 30-06, will have an exit wound at that distance with a direct hit to the neck, which is only going to be around 10 inches thick at most and not very dense, even if it hit vertebrae. No body armor, ? Cool. Things are weirder now. That's exactly what Gary Melton was saying. That post is from September 12th, 2025. That second post right there that we're looking at right here. And now for additional context, I want to play this clip. I want to play this clip that has emerged of Gary Melton and his explanation of what was going on at the time.
Right here, he's talking. This is just moments before any shots are fired. And one of the things that you couldn't tell, or I couldn't tell from the initial video, is the fact that he is clearly wearing body armor. I want you to look at this outline. Without a doubt, he is wearing body armor. Now, there's lots of different types of body armor out there. It is very easy to conceal, even under something like a t-shirt. And I think this is very, very similar to what Charlie Kirk is actually probably wearing right now. One thing of metallic body armor like this is you guys can see that if I do take a round, and especially it hits this contoured area, it can and does deflect up toward the wearer. But I want us to see what's going on in this particular instance with Charlie Kirk. So number one, we can definitely see that there is body armor there. And then I want us to move forward. I'm going to zoom in as tightly as possible, just to, again, try to keep this as clean as possible. So right here, we have the first frame in this particular video, and
I'm going to pause it here real quick, but what I want the context for you guys to understand here is that first, Gary Melton was untrusting of what Turning Point USA was telling us in the immediate aftermath of Charlie being killed. He did not think that they were giving us accurate statements. I think that's important. That's important context, number one. Number two, Gary really believed that Charlie was wearing body armor because he thought that Charlie had something on under his shirt. Now, that has since been, I guess, questioned. However, what we're about to look at with what Baron Coleman and Candace Owens just shared, it might explain something different. But what I think is interesting is that Gary seemed to identify that there was something going on under Charlie's shirt. Okay, that's important context number two. And now he's getting into Charlie's shirt behavior. So let's let this continue.
I don't know what frame rate this video was shot in. It was slowed down. This is the first sign of impact. I want you to notice with this shirt, we actually have the shirt. It is violently disturbed, but this shirt collar is moved all the way up to his ear. When I first saw this video, what it looked like to me is that Charlie Kirk was shot in the left side, and it looked like a direct hit into the left side of his neck. And I was also looking for an exit wound. But that doesn't explain why the shirt was moved the way that it was. As we move forward a little bit, I want you to see, folks, right here. I want you to notice that there is a spot on the shirt. And that spot on the shirt also correlates with the very top edge of this body armor. And you can also see the first appearance of an entrance wound, and that's really weird too. So when we see an entrance wound from a firearm, especially on the skin and something in an area that's soft tissue like the neck, we normally don't see such a large hole there with the entrance wound. We just don't. When skin is pierced, whether it's a projectile or anything else, you know, that stuff stretches out of the way, then it closes back in on itself. I've talked about this many times with, you know, 5.56 and even 9mm wounds, and I have seen 30 cal wounds and even larger wounds. A lot of times with these smaller caliber wounds, even up to 30 cal, it's hard to see a entrance wound at all, especially with 5.56, 9mm. A lot of times you got to stretch the skin. There's techniques that we use when we're assessing casualties.
Okay. All right. So what you get there is the point that Gary believes there was something going on under Charlie's shirt and that he was not hit with a 30-06. He's making the argument here that this was not a 30-06 entrance wound. Okay. So now what has shifted and changed is that you have Gary out here coming up with all different sorts of explanations saying that, oh, like all this shirt movement, all of it's explainable now. Something legitimately flipped in around the October of 2025 timeframe with Gary Melton, and all of that energy just became essentially directed against and right at Candace Owens. As Candace really amped up her coverage of the case and started introducing the alternate theories as to what happened to Charlie Kirk, something happened with Gary that he just straight up turned. He turned away from these initial perspectives that he originally had. And now I want to get to this Baron Coleman photo that was shared of Charlie Kirk and what they shared last week. I think probably many of you have seen this already. If you haven't, this is what Baron Coleman had posted on X. He has it pinned on his X profile right now. He and Candace covered it in their emergency episode last week. But all this says is that this is a previously unseen and unpublished picture of Charlie Kirk being carried to the SUV. Notice the marks under his right nipple. Notice, perhaps more importantly, the absence of marks in a rectangle formation. If you guys look closely at this photo, what you see is that directly under Charlie's nipple, which is that, you know, circular, obviously darker brown / red circular area right there, there's a white patch with right angles, and it's clearly, it looks like there was some form of strap or tape that might have been on Charlie's nipple, which might have protected that area from any blood or any markings from appearing on Charlie's body. All right. I've seen the argument that, oh, well, those are finger marks or those are blood smears. And it's like, how can you get your fingers? Is someone holding Charlie like this? How are we getting our fingers to create perfect angles there on Charlie's body? Like that, to me, that argument doesn't follow that well. Right. So one of the interesting arguments here is that something was strapped onto Charlie's shirt. And you heard Gary's initial suspicions that there's something is going on under Charlie's shirt. We know these different arguments now with John Bray coming out and all of the work that he's done on the exploding mic. I mean, this has been covered many, many times by a number of different people. You guys have heard me talk about it here on the show. What's frustrating about this is that Baron Coleman and Candace Owens, they put this out. Baron Coleman is the individual who got it from the original source of who took this photo, and we're going to get to him in a second. But the fire that Baron Coleman is under right now is not like this photo was put out, and it was put out so that because it was a contribution to the whole of this investigation. It's like, hey, look, this mark on Charlie is very suspect. It looks weird. We should look into it. We should look into it because the 30-06 narrative, it certainly has some holes in it. Many people, including Gary Melton, don't believe that a 30-06 causes this type of behavior. It doesn't cause the wound, doesn't cause the shirt behavior, doesn't cause the necklace to snap in a 90-degree angle over Charlie's ear. So, like, here's this picture. Let's take a look at it. as a contribution. Like, let's make sure that we're getting the full whole truth here. Instead of that, the argument has then turned into, oh, well, how the heck did Baron Coleman get this? How did he post this? He posted this without the permission. It's like they're not like looking at the photo and then taking from the photo, hey, we should be asking questions about this. They're twisting it. They're going at Baron for how he got the photo and why he would put it out there. So I want to scroll down here because I think this is actually really interesting. And this gets into some of the issues and the drama that have been caused and why Baron Coleman is under fire right now and what the opponents of him are actually saying about all of this, which I don't think is true for a second. And we'll get to that here in a sec. But you have someone like Laura Loomer commenting, it's very clearly smeared blood. I mean, what? What? I mean, some of it may be smeared blood, but the point is that there's a very distinct marking on there that doesn't have any smeared blood on it. I think that's the point, right? So, all right, thanks, Laura, thanks for that. Ian Carroll saying here it's coming, but then Blake Bednar's here says, attention, Turning Point USA conspirators, first ones to talk, get the best deals. Charlie's murder will be solved. And then you see Baron commenting on there, correct. So you have Blake Bednar's on here commenting on this photo, saying like, hey, this is going to help. This is going to help. But then what's come out over the weekend is that Blake Bednar's hosted a space. He hosted an X space, and I don't know why. I don't know why he did this. I really don't. Blake Bednar's called the guy. The guy's name is Charles. Okay, and I'll pull this up in a second. I'm not going to play this clip yet because Brandy and Billy interviewed this guy, Charles, who took these pictures at UVU. That's this guy right here. All right, we'll get to what he says here with Brandy and Billy in a second because it provides some insight. And he actually says here, yeah, I would give these photos to Baron Coleman and Candace Owens. He actually says this here in this video. But
here we go.
Blake Bednar's hosted a space on X. I've never done one before, so I think it's called a space on X, where Blake has a group of individuals on here, and Blake calls this Charles guy to ask him about why he shared the photos with Baron Coleman and what he shared Baron, because Baron is getting pushback because this guy Charles has said he didn't want to release any of these photos or make them public because of what they showed on Charlie's face. He thought it was too graphic and he didn't want the photos out there. So Blake has this spaces and he calls this guy Charles to talk to him and ask him about why he shared those photos with Baron Coleman. And Blake doesn't disclose to him that he's calling him and this is a public call. I'm not going to play it because I don't want the audio. I don't want to represent that. I don't want to represent this. Blake called this guy, didn't tell him, didn't disclose that he was live and he was talking to 300 other people during this time. And he starts asking him questions about it. Kelly Rabin, or I think it's Rabin, called him out for it, and props to her. It's look, I don't want to get involved in the different drama between a lot of these people that have been involved in drama, especially surrounding Blake. I've had different conversations with Blake. I don't have much of a problem with him. I don't have much of a problem with anybody. I don't want to get involved in any of this drama, to be honest with you. I don't think what Blake did here was the right thing to do. I think if you're going to call a guy, be like, hey man, I got you on an X space. Like, I just want to ask you some questions about Baron. Is that cool? And then you have the conversation if he agrees to it. So Kelly calling him out here, I think was good. And from what I understand, they're close. And, as far as I'm concerned, like, yeah, I have close friends, brothers of mine that call me out for stuff all the time. Like, that's good stuff. But what Blake did here was wrong. And what he's done as far as like needing to take credit, needing to be credited as like the sole source of like, he's the one that's right, I think has been, and like turning on Candace Owens and turning on Baron Coleman and calling them psyops or in on it. Like that to me is like, I don't understand why he has to go down that route. I really just don't. You know what I mean? Like put the high quality UVU review video out there, make your arguments, contribute to the whole of the conversation. We don't need to be doing any of this stuff. That's my opinion on it, right? Like I want the truth. I've covered a number of different people. I've talked to a number of different people on this. I just want the truth. But what I think is interesting here is at the end, so he hangs up with the dude. He hangs up with Charles. Kelly calls him out for it. Blake goes into like technical difficulties, audio difficulties, whether they're true or not, nobody really knows. But he basically starts saying that he can't hear Kelly. But then all of a sudden, look at this. The stream just gets deleted. The space gets deleted. So it all happens. Kelly's like, dude, like, what are you doing? What happened here? Blake goes through technical difficulties, and then all of a sudden, boom, the stream's gone. Oh, man. But what Blake is trying to do here is he's trying to trap Barron. He's trying to trap Barron with this guy by saying, like, you gave these photos to Barron. Barron told you not to release them, but Ben Barron released them. So what say you? The guy doesn't give an answer because and because the guy knows exactly what happened. And it's what Baron Coleman said. Baron Coleman has come out and said, look, I talked to this Charles guy on the phone. Yeah, he gave me the photo. He didn't want the full photo released because it shows too much of Charlie. It's too graphic. He didn't want the full photo released, but Baron Coleman specifically said he gave me permission to release this specific area and cropped version of the photo. That's what happened. Baron didn't release the whole photo that was given to him. But I want you guys to listen to this Brandy and Billy podcast with this guy, Charles, who took these photos, because this explains to you, it gives you some context as to, first of all, why the photos, why he shared the photos with Baron Coleman, but then also what he didn't want shared, which Baron didn't share. So I'm actually playing this in defense of Baron. I think it's important that it's shared. So take a listen to this.
Yeah. So Billy and I saw the photos. Charles showed us the photos that he did take after Charlie was shot. And what we saw, there is nothing suspicious to be released to the public. And do you want to explain kind of why you don't want the photo that we saw to be released?
Well, I don't want that one particular photo. I released all the photo that I did that day. I only didn't release one photo.
And it's that one.
And it's that one photo.
It's the one that we both saw.
That one that you guys saw. Mm-hmm. The reason why I didn't release that one photo is because you still can see, you see so much. There's not much there. It's just his thing carrying him into the car.
It's because you can see Charlie's face.
It's just because you can see his face. You can see blood coming out. You can see his body. And I just didn't want to release that because, you know, it's all about principle and morals.
It's sad.
It's sad. And it's just like, there's nothing. It's not going to help with the investigation.
No,
I don't think it's going to help at all.
And I can say from seeing it, it's because you can see Charlie's face and he's not like awake. Like
he's not awake.
Yeah.
And I released similar photo where you can see his arm hanging. You can see those. And again, I didn't release that photo again because I didn't want to be adding more stuff. I mean, there was already plenty of videos. I mean, there's people here saying, oh, but the kids are already going to see those photos. They're already seen the videos when they grew up. Well, but that's on you guys. You guys can do it and show those videos. I do not want to be part of that.
We saw the photos. I saw it. You saw the photo. It's just Charlie's face, but he looks like he's unconscious in it. And that's the photo that he was referring to. In my opinion, there's nothing in that photo that would change the narrative or add or help to the investigation. Would you be willing to let us have that photo or send it to people like Baron or Candace Owens to help with the investigation if you think it even would? But would you be willing to like let people that are like private people trying to investigate this have it?
Yeah. If they reach out to me, yeah.
Okay. And I think that was like one of the main questions was like, why doesn't he want to release the photo
Yeah.
But you
If
said
they-
that you're
look,
willing to.
I mean, we talked earlier about this. Like, if they come, like you guys, Candace or Baron Coleman, and they ask for the photo, I'm willing to provide that for you guys. And
Okay. So there he is right there talking about how he would release the photo to Baron and Candace and he considers them trustworthy. And then the conversation that it went with Baron Coleman is that Baron asked, like, can I share this aspect of the photo, which is cropped out, which doesn't show all of Charlie? And he was given permission to do so before he posted it. And are we all going to pretend that Baron Coleman didn't get permission, like didn't go through the steps that he needed to go to in order to protect himself before he released that photo? Come on, guys. Come on. Come on. Of course he did. Of course he did. Baron is a very smart man. I had to give Baron Coleman $33 for using his trademark phrasing here on this show. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. But I actually did give him a super chat because I was like, Baron, like, hey, I don't want to, I'm not, I'm not saying welcome in. This right here, like he has the high IQ outfit. He has the high IQ outfit. We have a high IQ audience here, of course. He has the high IQ outfit. That's his branding. Come on. Baron knows what he's doing. Let's not pretend that he doesn't. Okay. So again, what all of this tax and why Baron Coleman is under fire, and like Brandy and Billy here are talking with Charles about they didn't think that the photo would provide much of the investigation, and maybe early on we were looking at different things like that might have been true, but things have progressed, and obviously that spot on Charlie should have been put out there, and it was put out there, and it was put out there with permission. So before we get to this Graham Allen situation, which I know you guys are gonna love this. You're gonna love it because it's outrageous, it's funny, it's informative, it's like everything wrapped into one. And it relates to, if you guys remember, a crash out that I had on Graham Allen because he really thought that he got like trapped Candace Owens, debunked her. And he really thought he had her. But like I said at the time, he really just stepped on a rake and hit himself. Well, he did it again. He did it again trying to debunk Candace. And we're going to get to that right after a brief break for today's sponsor, Native Path Creatine. Guys, take a listen. This episode is brought to you by Native Path Creatine for muscle strength, brain health, and energy. Most people think of creatine as a gym supplement, but here is what the research actually says. Creatine powers your brain just as much as your muscles. Scientists believe it's a neuroprotective. It improves short-term memory and thinking. Research from the University of Michigan shows that you can lose 50% of your muscle by age 80. Muscle protects your bones, keeps your metabolism running, supports your balance, and even your brain health. The good news, creatine, the most studied sports supplement in history with over 500 clinical trials, helps rebuild and maintain muscle without weightlifting. This is a huge deal. Native Path Native Creatine combines creatine monohydrate with L-leucine and L-carnitine in a fast-dissolving, flavorless powder you can add to any drink. Creatine is a staple supplement of mine. I'm a big believer in it. I think you should be as well. At least look into it if you're not taking it already. To take advantage of my special offer, up to 56% off, head to getnativecreatine.com/Zach. That's GETNATIVECreatine.com/Zach. Try it risk-free with a 365-day money-back guarantee. Okay, yeah, Native Path Creatine, Native Path Krill Oil. They power the show here. They power the show. Check it out if you guys have not already. Okay, so first and foremost, back, if you guys remember, giving you guys some context here. when the White House Correspondents' Dinner occurred and Erica Kirk left the dinner after the almost shooter ran through the hallways and was subdued, Erica was caught on camera crying, saying, "I just want to go home." Candace Owens came out at the time and she unveiled that there was communication by government, somewhere in the government, regarding the messaging that needed to go out about Erica Kirk, coordinated messaging on social media to create these viral, emotional gaslighting moments. Okay. There was spin created, propaganda created. Candace tried to pursue it further, and then she shared what that email from whatever that source was at the time. But she didn't share the actual body of the email because she didn't want to reveal the source, because different emails will be crafted so that if someone leaks or if someone provides something to a media individual, then they will then see that email and then they'd be able to identify the source or the leaker in that scenario, or the whistleblower. Ultimately, whistleblower is a better word to use there. So Candace didn't do that. She didn't want to reveal who the whistleblower was, telling everyone that, like, hey, there was coordinated messaging coming out after the White House Correspondents' Dinner about Erica Kirk to promote this viral moment for an emotional appeal to increase public support. Graham Allen went on the Charlie Kirk show with our boys Tweedledee and Tweedledum and talked about how he got her, like how he debunked her. They were debunking Candace Owens here. And if you guys remember, like, I crashed out about this at the time. I'm going to play this for you because it's really good context for what Graham Allen just did again. He just did this again today, mere hours ago. All right, but watch this crash out here with Graham Allen, and then we'll get to what he just did. Take a listen. So funny about this is that Graham thinks he has something here. He thinks he has something so good that he's really going to get Candace with, you guys. He really's got it. Look at his face. Oh, I got it. Here we go.
That I don't even know where to begin. But, you know, thankfully the White House stepped in here and said,
well, that
fake.
photo you just showed right there, that's what an actual inquiry and response actually looks like, Candace, by the way. So when people actually make an inquiry and people respond, that last slide you just showed, that's what it actually looks like in a real email thread or a text thread when people. So for all those that are watching of what actually getting evidence looks like, there it is. Well, it doesn't look like a retyped image.
Well, it's hilarious.
Oh, wait. When you're looking at evidence of communication between two individuals, whether it be an email or text thread, this is what a real one looks like, you guys. Oh, boy. This dude loves walking onto rakes that smash him right in the face. Okay, Graham. This is what actual proof of a text message exchange looks like. These are what real emails and real text messages look like that show that this is real evidence, real communication between real individuals. Oh, you idiots who just type out what text messages say. Okay. Do you guys see where I'm going with this? You guys see where I'm going with this, right? Now let's do Tyler Robinson. All right, I'm laughing at myself. And gosh darn it, why did I wear the same shirt? Okay, in all fairness, I didn't know that I was going to be covering this clip. I didn't know that I was going to be covering this clip here today, guys. Otherwise, I wouldn't have worn the same shirt. This was months ago. It was months ago. In all fairness, you guys all know I have like 5 different shirts or so. I didn't know I was going to be covering this. And you know why I didn't know? Because I'm going to give credit. I gotta give him a shout out here. Matt McKim with the Black Line Brief. If you guys haven't seen his YouTube channel, go and check it out. I tune in to Matt. I mean, a decent amount. He goes on a little late, so sometimes I got to get to bed. But Matt McKim pointed me in the direction of what Graham Allen was talking about today. So this This reminded me of my crash out here and what Graham Allen had done previously, but it's connected. They're connected to each other. So Matt McKim with the Black Line Brief, thank you for pointing us in this direction here today. But how is this connected? First of all, Graham Allen, and what they were talking about there, what they were debunking Candace for ultimately there, was that there was not coordinated messaging about Erica Kirk coming down from anywhere in the government. That's what they were debunking at the time. And that is very important. That is very important. What they were debunking is Candace's claim that there was coordinated messaging, that there was strategic communication, rapid response, coordinated rapid response on behalf of somewhere in the government to get people on social media thinking certain things, to respond to social media posts. Okay? Graham Allen is saying that's not what happened. Okay? That's very important. Now, let's listen to what Graham Allen says here. Because, you guys, when it comes to Gary Melton and why he shifted his views that we just covered here, we have Graham Allen, who's become this mouthpiece for MAGA, Republicans, Turning Point USA, the Fed slop narrative, whatever you want to call it. And what are they accused of? What is the pushback on these guys? That they're bought and paid for, that they're paid to push a certain narrative. Well. Listen to what Graham Allen had to say about himself here.
My official title was actually senior strategic consultant to the Department of War, but whatever. Who cares?
Whatever.
But before that, everybody knows this. I left the show for 6-7 months to go into the administration.
Completely abandoned me.
The Pentagon. All right. But what she leaves out is the important context of what my senior strategic consulting to the Department of War, the secretary, actually is. You see, she just says the title. She left out for digital media. You see, my role at the Pentagon was senior strategic consultant for digital media, for comms, for press, for rapid response. That is my role.
Not sand tabling and war planning.
She makes it seem as though I'm in the rooms where, we're deciding, are we going to bomb Iran again or not? No, my side is, hey, so-and-so from the media is talking a bunch of crap and nonsense. How are we going to strategically calm out how we go about this and how we communicate with the American people? Now, I'm very proud of that work, and it's a very important part. But that's also a very key piece of information to leave out when you make a statement like, the Department of War murdered Charlie Kirk. Do you know what Graham Allen was doing before Charlie Kirk was murdered? Senior strategic consultant for the Department of War. And then she leaves it to the audience. You tell me what that means.
Oh, Graham, he doesn't even realize what he just told us, you guys. He doesn't even realize it. The accusation that we all have against Graham Allen is that he's some Fed government shill. And he thinks, oh, guys, I worked for the Pentagon and the Department of War, but I wasn't responsible for any war planning. You idiot, Candace Owens. That's not what I was in there for. I was in there to shill for the government. I was in there to coordinate strategic comms for social media. It's like, dude, yes, that's what we're accusing you of. Oh my God. Then he sits there. See, I wasn't involved in war planning, you idiots. I wasn't involved in war planning, you dummies. I was involved in strategic communications to fight misinformation on social media. It's like, yeah, Graham, we know. That's exactly what we think of you. Thank you for telling us. Thank you for admitting it. Oh my gosh, dude. Oh my gosh. Like, it is just constant stepping on rakes for this dude. It's just constant stepping on rakes. It's like, all right, thank you, Graham. Thank you. Thank you. We now know that your job is to spin propaganda on behalf of the U.S. government. Oh my gosh, man. Oh my gosh. Hilarious. Hilarious. And informative. I told you guys, hilarious and informative at the same time. But here we are, and here we go. We're going to finish up today with our scripture passage, which is one of my favorites. Matthew chapter 7, verse 13 and 14. Enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the road is broad that leads to destruction, and those who enter it are many. How narrow the gate and constricted the road that leads to life, and those who find it are few. I love the concept, not the concept, but the truth of the narrow gate, the narrow way. The way of love, the way of truth, the way of Christ. Like, why is it difficult? Like, why isn't it easy to live a life in accordance with love and truth? Why is it difficult? Why is it the narrow way? Why is the road that leads to life and those who find it few? Like, why is it hard and those who find it are few? It just really all comes down to free will. It comes down to free will, and it comes down to the things in this life that are worth having, the things that are most meaningful, the things that are most fulfilling are actually hard. They're hard. And we don't want things to be easy. Anything easy, pleasurable, fleeting, it doesn't have any meaning. It doesn't have any fulfillment. It doesn't have any teeth. It doesn't have any depth. Things that are hard, things that are meaningful, things that are deep, it's like they require time, they require effort, they require suffering. Like, this is like, there's the both and of our faith, the both and of Christianity. It's a paradox. It's a paradox. Giving up your life allows you to find it. Like the crucifix is a paradox. The way that leads to life in full is to offer yourself up. The way to life is to die on your cross. He who loses his life will save it, right? We ultimately in this life, like, we want things to be hard. We want things to be narrow. We fall for it. Like, we fall for the things of the world that tell us that we want things that are easy and pleasurable, but we know none of that leads to, it might lead to fleeting emotional happiness every now and then. But that deep, abiding joy and meaning and fulfillment that comes with time, with work, with suffering, with pain, and the overcoming of it. That's why people out there, they'll ask me like, oh, well, only a few can follow Christ? It's like, no, actually everybody can. Everybody can and everybody should. It's the way that leads to life. But the fact of the matter is that most choose not to. Most choose not to, and we choose the ways of the world. And that's just the reality. That's the reality. Jesus doesn't want that. He wants every single one of us to follow the path, but Many of us choose not to. And it's because we've been duped by the world. We've been duped by the world to think that we want things that are easy and fleeting, when in reality, we don't. We want what is deep and hard and meaningful. We're going to finish up with the comments for today. Always be true. Just checking on Christina, the researcher. Hope she's doing well. How is the One Nation Under God doing, Chef Zach? Keep going. Jesus sees you. Thank you for checking on Christina. Christina was on vacation this past week, and she just got back. And she and I we're trying to work out like the best way for the research and the preparation for the show. I mean, look, Christina does a great job. She's very diligent. She's very thorough. She's an awesome researcher. I think we're just trying to figure out kind of the best way to make it. I don't know. Like, I consider like my prep and my prep for the show is almost like a creative process. I kind of like see what's going on throughout the day, and then I kind of see a narrative emerge. So we're trying to figure that out, but like, I don't have my eyes on everything. And what I really appreciate about the work that Christina does is like, she kind of looks at things and sees things a little differently from me, but she kind of gets her nose in things that I wouldn't necessarily have my nose in on a daily basis. Sometimes that's really good, and it makes the show really good and better and offers even more into it. But sometimes I feel like if there's a narrative that I feel like is emerging or happening, if I like kind of take my mind off that subject, then I feel like it distracts me a little bit, and then it kind of interferes with the show prep. I don't know. So we're trying to figure that out. But in any case, Christina's awesome. She does great work. And we're just trying to work out some kinks here on the back end, I guess you can say. And then the One Nation is the One Cross Nation is the nonprofit that I have started. We are in the process of fundraising right now. I have gotten a good number of donations from many of you guys who watch the show. I'm very thankful for that. And then we are working with other donors to come on as well. And then I'm looking at hiring an initial staff. I'll give you a cool update. One of those people that I have targeted to be a member of my staff is my younger brother, Tyler. He is a straight up, he's an A player. I want him on board. I want him to kind of be like a, not just like a right-hand man, but like a guy who can really help me run the thing. So I've been talking to him. We're in talks. I'm trying to peel him away from his full-time job, but we got to get there. So fundraising and working on that it just takes some time. I also have this. I've got, my boys are playing highly competitive baseball right now. We're kind of in the thick of it. They've got some big tournaments that we're working through right now. So I'll have a little bit more time open up here in the second half of the summer or so. But, I love when things, move and facilitate quickly, but it takes some time, and I want it to be done well, and it will. Like, this One Cross Nation for me, like this is a decade-long project, and I want it to be done at a very high level. Like, this is like life's work type of stuff. So I'm not rushing it, and I've got other work to do. I've got a family too that I have to focus on. So I'm trying to, fit it in and work the time, but it's coming. It's coming, and I'll continue to keep you guys updated on it. But thank you for asking. Really appreciate that. Liggy Lights member comment. Hi, chat. Hit the like button, please. Yes, please do that. If you haven't done it now, please do it. I really appreciate that. Leave a comment. Go off in the comments. Go off in the chat. Appreciate all of you guys. And then make sure you're subscribed. Sometimes, like, I've had many people say, like, oh, I thought I was subscribed. I went to double check, and I'm not. Double check. Thank you for standing behind Candace Owens. I mean, you guys all know here, I've become a fan. I've become a supporter of Candace Owens. I am. I have no problem saying that. Filling in for Scooch. Let's finish with scripture. Hey, I did do that. The narrow way, the narrow path. Graham and Gary have shared custody of the same brain cell. And it's like they pass it back and forth with each other. And it's like, no. They need to do a better job. Okay? Gary's work early on, man, was good. It's really been disappointing to see the directional shift that he's taken. I was really paying attention to a lot of his stuff early on. It's really a shame to see this shift. I mean, you saw what he was saying early on. Like, we shared those messages, those replies on X, the initial content. Like, even he knows something weird is going on. He knows it. I don't understand why he shifted so much. Graham is just not. He's. I feel like he's worse than Gary, in my opinion, with regard to just not being aware of the things that he's saying. I think Gary's higher IQ than Graham. I'll say that. I feel like I stand by that. Marriage, parenthood, work equals challenge and reward. 100%. 100%. Many people in this world, especially young people, they've been duped into thinking like, oh, like taking on this responsibility, taking on marriage and committing your life to one person, having children, like you see it all the time, like, oh, like it's going to prevent me from doing the things that I want to do in my life. Like, they've been duped into thinking that this responsibility does not create meaning and fulfillment. Like, yes, it's harder. Life as a married man, life as a father of 5, 6 kids, it's less convenient. It's maybe less pleasurable than, living the single life. No. I mean, from a pleasure standpoint and with regard to maybe I shouldn't say this, but with regard to the frequency of making love, you put yourself as a married man, as a happily married man, like I think it's probably more frequent than someone who's single, who's, maybe going out on the weekends or whatever. I mean, if we're gonna argue from that pleasure perspective. But with regard to like the challenges and like especially parenthood, you want to talk about like the most meaningful thing in your life, like have a relationship with your child. I mean, my goodness. It's the perfect example of like a less convenient, harder thing that you do in your life that results in something that is way more meaningful than anything you could ever imagine. The type of relationship you have with a child, your son or daughter, is more meaningful than anything that you could ever imagine in this life. The meaning that is derived from a marriage, like the fact that my wife and we've been together since we were 15 years old, and we've experienced life together, we've grown up together, how much we've been through together, the successes and the failures, the joys and the sufferings that we've had together. Like, it's created depth and meaning and fulfillment. That's the rock and the foundation to build your life on. And then good work that provides value. Like, there's nothing like, one of the things I love doing is I love reading the struggle that different entrepreneurs went through and the suffering that they had to go through. Most of them were poor for a long time, and then they finally, got to the point where they experienced success. But like the grind and the hustle and the come up, musicians, artists, like they all go through it too. That's what inspires me. But that's what creates all the meaning and the depth and joy. Joy is not happiness. Happiness goes up and down. It's an emotion. It's a feeling. Joy is that steady rock. It's an unwavering, knowing. It's an unwavering peace type of happiness that stays there despite the ups and downs of life. That only comes through depth and meaning. And that is only created with time and pressure and ups and downs and weathering storms. And that's where the meat of life is. Not this convenience, not this pleasure, not this I don't want kids to interfere with my week so that I can what? So you can what? Go out on weekends, travel, sip drinks on a beach or a golf course. No, that's not what life's about. That's not what life's about. At least not for me. I'm not interested in that. Scooch, thanks for the mention, and definitely about the foundation. Would have been 2 of my questions. Thank you. Thanks, Zach. Well, thanks, Scooch, and thanks for being here, and thanks for the super chat, and thanks for the continual support of the channel. You regulars here and the comments that you guys leave and the consistent support, it means so much to me. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful that you guys are here every day. I'm so thankful that you guys show me the support and the love that you guys do. I really appreciate it. Mystic, and are leaving a super chat here, a $20 super chat. Kind forever. One of our mods needs our help. Please share. She has a give, send, go. She had a car crash. Thanks, Mystic. Thanks for sharing that. If you guys all want to go check that out and do that, you can. Look, I care about my mods here. I care about the people in this community. And you guys all know that I shared a give, send, go for our very close family friend, Sean Wise, who lost their 2-year-old. Look, Mystic, I appreciate you saying that, but it's difficult for me on this platform to just become like, I can't share just every give, send, go that people come up with because they're going through something. Like, obviously it's important. If you guys want to check out the give, send, go, that's fine. But I hope you guys understand, like, I care about people, but I can't do that time and time again. I can't do that for everybody. You guys have no idea how many emails, how many messages I get on a daily basis, like asking for certain types of things or some type of endorsement and things like that. I can't do it. I can't do it with everybody. I hope you guys understand that. Always be true. We deserve better psyops merch. Oh, I do have a merch store. I don't talk about it. I should probably promote it and talk about it more. Visit zachcostello.com, and I could probably do a better job at like getting different things in there for different merch ideas. I don't update things as much as I should. There's only so much time in the day. There's only so much time in the day. But if you want merch, check out zachcostello.com. It's another good way to support the channel. But in any case, guys, that's going to be all for today. I hope that you guys have a great rest of the day, and I will see you all tomorrow. I'm Zach Costello.